Hello, I am Sydney.
And I'm Melanie.
And this is Drawntaneous.
Quick shout out, thank you to our friends Joseph and Kaden for letting us borrow their Yeti microphone. So if you notice the sound quality is better, it's because it is.
Or at least different, because we're still learning.
But yeah, thanks again, Joseph and Kaden. We appreciate you guys. And hopefully they'll be guests on future episodes if we can figure out a recording setup. Today is going to be another one of those themed specials because we're going to be talking about a topic near and dear to Sydney's heart. We're going to be talking about Dragon Age, the video games, but specifically a very specific topic in Dragon Age. Sydney, would you like to let the folks listening know what we're talking about today?
It's just mostly me just complaining that Anders was right and the game series just does so wrong by him because mage rights are important.
Yeah, not even just Anders, is just like mage rights. You have a lot of feelings about mage rights.
I do.
And how shitty the Templars are and how shitty the Chantry is.
Well, because like for a game that talks about like how terrible the oppression of mages is, they spend a lot of time exonerating Templars.
Let's back up and actually talk about the whole, for people who don't know the Dragon Age world, what is it and what is the basic like conflict between the mages and Templars? Because there's a big, huge other conflict, but we're going to focus in on mages and Templars.
I mean,
and
like, the other conflict is usually the world's ending.
Yeah, it's basically, oh no, there's a big disaster that the player character has to prevent. But there's this whole conflict around magic that happens not in the background, it's very much in the foreground. It is like one of the driving conflicts in the entire series, I'd say. So, would you like to tell us, Sydney, what the general thing is?
Pretty much like people can be born with magic powers and they get it through access because they're like sensitive to like the other side, which is like the fate or whatever. Like, I'm not 100% sure if like they imply that it's like the afterlife because sometimes there's dead people there, or it's like the realm of demons and whatnot, magical entities.
I think generally the idea is that the Fade is the spirit world, and that could be good spirits or bad spirits, and it is also where your soul goes when you're dead, essentially.
Because, like, isn't the whole idea, like, spirits don't adhere to the ideas of good and bad, they just, like...
They just exist.
They just are,
They don't understand mortals, or how mortals live.
Yeah.
And the whole, like...
Holding them to our laws of morality is dumb, because...
And I think the whole, like, the more malevolent spirits are just, like, they are no longer acting true to their, like, true nature or something. They've been corrupted. Essentially, it's like they've been corrupted by the mortal plane in some way.
So essentially, people suck.
People suck. Spirits get confused, sometimes turn into demons and go crazy because they can't comprehend what's happening. I think that's generally the idea of, like, spirit realm.
Yeah.
But it's called the Fade, and mages, like... So, it's this whole thing where, like, normal people, or not normal people, non-mages, don't have connection to the Fade. If I remember correctly.
Well, I guess, like, you can access the Fade through dreams, like, anyone can do that?
No, not anyone, I think.
Is it?
I think it's exclusively mages can, when they go to sleep, they are able to then access, they're vulnerable to the Fade. And then their magic comes from being connected to the Fade in some way. And so this connection to the Fade makes people think, like, the general religion, which is the Church of Andraste, their whole thing is...
It's Christianity.
Yeah. But their whole thing is that being connected to the Fade makes mages susceptible to being possessed by demons, therefore they must be under lock and key because they are dangerous.
So it's like they have the potential to be dangerous, and like this is actually painfully relevant to some stuff that's going on right now, which is like the idea that like the mentally ill are dangerous and should be monitored. But anyway, mages end up being taken away from their families as soon as they show any sort of magical ability.
Which is typically when they're very young.
Yeah, like they're kids.
Yeah, they're not even 5 years at some times. Like, it manifests really, really young, so they're taken from their parents.
And, like, they're brought to a prison specially made for mages, and each one's different. Like, it just depends on who's running it. If the Templars that work there... Templars are the jailers. They are soldiers of the religion.
So they're mage circles, or mage towers, and they are advertised? No, they're at large assumed to be places of learning for mages, so they can learn how to
control their
abilities, control their emotions specifically, because there's this whole idea that your emotions affect your magic, and if your emotions are volatile, then your magic is unvolatile.
Because it's, an integral part of who they are.
Yeah, so there's this whole discussion. The Church of Andraste is all like, oh, the modern Church of Andraste. So there's like during the course of the main Dragon Age series. So Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, and Inquisition. Like, this is the stance of the church, which is mages need to be monitored. They are mandated to go to circles. They are taken from their families and sent to these circles. And then the Templars are supposed to keep them safe, massive air quotes, but what ends up happening is because these are an oppressed population, they end up getting taken advantage of and oppressed.
Well, particularly that Templars are given absolute control over them.
And Templars have abilities that negate mages' magics.
Which they get by ingesting drugs, pretty much.
Which is terrible. So, like, there's this whole thing where, like, you do not get a good ending if you become a Templar, because you either die or you go insane because the drug messes you up that much. So, like, so this is the thing about the whole Dragon Age game, is, like, they're both supposed to be sympathetic sides. However, so, like, based on the pure, like, facts of what you're given, without taking any of the game context, like, on face value, you could probably argue that mages and Templars both have a really shitty
The true villain
existence.
is the Chantry.
The true villain is the Chantry, is the church. But the way that the games and the writing handles the conflict doesn't make it of equal weight. They're heavily biased towards the Templars. And the Templars are given the most sympathy and the most empathy, whereas mages are typically always demonized in this universe.
Like,
but they should hypothetically be on equal standing, because they're both victims of the same system, except the Templars do have power over the mages. There is a power imbalance there.
There is, and, like, at least, like, for me, like, my major frustration is, like, Templar characters constantly get redemptions. Alistair's character gets a redemption.
Is he
He was gonna be
he
a
was gonna be a Templar.
He was in
right.
training to be a Templar,
And
so
then
he
he was taken to be a
has
warden.
Templar powers, and then he was taken to be a warden, which he didn't want to be a Templar, but, like, all the same, like, he still, like, learns, and there's, like, the potential, it thankfully never comes up in the game, but there's the potential that he could affect your character if your character is a mage. But, like, Cullen, who is in all of the games,
He is like their flagship Templar mascot. And it's
he
unfortunate.
gets a massive redemption after
He
being a total
does.
scumbag.
I actually, unpopular opinion, I actually really enjoy his character.
Oh,
but the
no,
potential,
I do too.
I enjoy the potential of what he could have been if they, I don't know, if they just handled him differently.
Like, they definitely, like, used him as, like, a Templar apologist, which is really frustrating. Like, because he has an arc where he speaks against the Templars, but he still supports them. Like, he doesn't do much to help mages, he does more to help Templars.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem true. It's like, if he is actually sorry for the abuses he's committed, why isn't he helping the people that he has hurt?
I think if
The
they
Templars have, like, so much support as it is.
The cat is. Oh no, the cat's gonna attack me. Oh no.
Oh, no.
Get out of here, cat.
Be gone, demon. But,
don't eat our paper. Hey. Hang on, I'm sorry. Get out of here.
I'm just gonna stop drawing, so that way.
I'm back. That was very quick.
Alright.
Sorry, our roommate's cat likes to eat paper, and she was going after a comic book on our shelf. And I'm like, no, you don't get to do that.
But, the main character that I enjoy the most from Dragon Age has been given, like, the most shit, and it drives me insane. because spoilers, we're gonna
heavily spoil Dragon Age 2.
So pretty much, Anders,
and all the entire series.
Anders
actually
is like one of the main characters in Dragon Age 2. He was in DLC for Origins. That's where he's introduced as a character, and you find out his central conflict comes from that. But like, he's a major player in 2. Like, he's even a romance interest. He's actually like my favorite character.
Well, everybody's a romance interest in 2. All your companions, except for Varric.
And, you know, your siblings, and
Yeah, your
Aveline,
siblings,
and your dog.
Oh yeah, because Aveline has her own.
Yeah, Aveline gets married.
She does get married. Aw, Aveline.
But Anders is probably, I would argue, the most important character.
Well, yeah,
in Dragon
he
Age
is
2.
he is the driving force of the plot in Act 3. Like, he is the reason Act 3 happens.
So, to start, the big controversy behind Anders' character and why a lot of people don't like him is he blows up a chantry at the end of Dragon Age 2, which causes a lot of death and chaos. But this is where people are constantly like, wow, I can't believe you think this. I don't disagree with his actions, because throughout the game, the chantry proves to not just be ineffective in, like, keeping the Templars in check, but, like, encouraging, like, these atrocities constantly by trying to remain neutral. Like, the Grand Cleric, like, lets all of these terrible things happen because she's trying to be like, oh, well, you know, we're trying not to interfere, the Templars can manage themselves.
Except they can't,
Except
because
they
their
don't.
leader's going insane.
Their leader's, like, going insane with paranoia.
Well, and I think there's also the whole, like, she's being driven insane by Red Lyrium.
Oh, well, yeah, but, like, it's the paranoia that starts first. Because, like, when you, like, first get introduced to her, like, even before they introduce her, they talk about the Knight Commander Meredith, who's the leader of the Templars, and they talk about her with fear. Both Templars and mages talk about her with fear. So, like, something was up even before she lost her shit to Lyrium. But, Anders blows up a chantry, and people think it's terrible, blah, 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 but I think the chantry is the true villain, because they both abuse Templars and mages.
Yeah, so
elves!
There was a corrupt priestess who was encouraging the conflict. So there is so much going on in 2. I realize that it's very difficult to talk about.
Pretty
this
much there's
without...
like a racial conflict going on.
So there's the Kunari, and then there's everybody else. And the Kunari have a very they have a very, like, militaristic culture. They're very much we will cleanse the rest of the world by converting them to our culture.
You only get to see the military side of them, though.
Yeah,
you never get to see, like, the civilian side, and I think that's a crime.
That I wish we did get that other side, because you're right, we only ever see the military side of their society.
Yeah.
But, like, that's kind of like the idea. That is, as a observer, that is what you get, is that you have this kind of these conquerors sort of coming in, kind of being like, ooh, we're going to kind of feel out what's going on here. Also, hey, one of you guys stole a book that's very important to us, so
it's
we're
like
here to get it back.
It's like their central religious text.
Yeah.
But,
there's a priestess,
There's a corrupt priestess who's trying to drive people back to the chantry by painting the Kunari as villains, but she's, like,
I think
sabotaging everything.
So there's a sect of people trying to keep the race relations chill and without having it boil over. And then she is actively poking the sleeping bear, essentially.
Yeah.
And she's trying to cause conflict. And then it comes to light that she's responsible, and then the Grand Cleric doesn't do anything about it, I think.
Well, the thing I like the most, this is the only credit I give the Grand Cleric, is when this corrupt priestess gets caught and the Kunari assassinate her, the Grand Cleric lets it happen. She watches it go down and says nothing. But this is the only good thing she does. But once again, it's her in action.
Yeah. That's the entire...
She lets everything happen around her, and it's super frustrating.
And that's Anders' whole thing, is like, you are not acting to help anybody,
well, like,
so somebody has to.
One of his great lines is, like, the main thing with your character in the game is you make choices between these two factions, but in the end, you don't get to choose. Anders makes the choice for you, because he declares... He says, I took away the option of compromise because there is no compromise. And he's right. Because this has been going on for so long, and by the way, this is He's been spending 10 years.
Oh yeah, the Dragon Age 2 takes place over like 9 to 10 years.
Yeah, he's been doing 10 years doing charity work, taking care of the city's most impoverished people, like keeping them alive, taking care of their health, while trying to convince the Grand Cleric to help the mages to do something, while trying to like help mages escape abusive conditions. Like, he's doing all these wonderful and great things, and no one's helping him, and everyone's just shitting on him constantly. Like, even like as a supporter in the game, it frustrates me that like your only dialogue options with him are like, gee, Anders, you should stop being so extreme. And it's like, he's not being extreme, he's doing the right thing, and no one helps him. And like, most of this is the fault of the writers. It's especially because, from what I know, like 3 different writers handled his storyline as well as Fenris's storyline, and him and Fenris could have been wonderful friends. They have so much in common, but no, we had to build all this stupid central conflict and rivalry. No, don't touch me.
So I am gripping Sydney's shoulder right now because she gets very worked up over this.
It's important to me.
Yeah, I know it is important to you, but you're kind of rambling. So
Anyway.
let's try and focus the conversation again. Let's bring it back in.
Essentially, this character gets a massive shaft in the entire series, and like part of why I grumble about Cullen a lot is in the game after Dragon Age 2, Cullen becomes a romanceable character, and he gets this big old redemption after he acknowledges that he did and didn't help. They did terrible things and didn't help people when he knew he should have.
Yeah, I agree, the way they handled his redemption arc, it was too easy. It was basically handed to him, like a participation trophy.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't earn his redemption is the problem.
Yes.
And like, we have nothing against him getting
I
redemption.
like his character.
Yeah, like we have nothing against
I
it. We
romanced
just,
him.
if only they had done something more like genuine, I guess, instead of this like, congratulations, you feel bad, now here, have a wife.
Yeah, and like, Anders doesn't get a redemption. Like, you never hear everyone who knew him, including his friends, talk about like that he was a shitty man. And so like Varric, who had his back the most throughout like the entire game in Inquisition, speaks of Anders in an ill way, and that breaks my heart because like,
it's been a while since I played the game. I could have sworn. I know if you have a hawk who romanced him, he basically dodges the question when you ask about Anders. He kind of just go, or they can be a man or a woman.
Yeah.
But they just kind of go, I haven't heard from him in a while because
he's in hiding.
He's
like, a fugitive.
Your options at the end of Dragon Age 2 are to either like stab him and allegedly kill him, but I don't think you actually kill him. Do you actually kill him?
No, he is the only character that stays permanently dead in the history of Dragon Age, I believe, besides Seamus. So, like, that frustrates me too, is like, because people take glee in killing him, and the thing is, he sits by. He gives you the choice.
You do it.
He lets you kill him if you do it.
He is in love with Hawk.
Yeah. Whether or not you romance Anders, he's in love with Hawk, and that's also super sad. But, oh, I forgot to mention one of the biggest tidbits of his character.
The fact that his husband dies?
Oh, we're not gonna get into that. I could talk forever about Carl.
Oh, you mean Justice!
I mean Justice.
Oh my god, we forgot about Justice!
So one of the most central parts of his character is he is actually possessed by a spirit.
By a spirit. So there's this whole thing, there's this whole ideology that if you become possessed by a demon, and every mortal person thinks that being possessed means you can only be possessed by a demon. They automatically assume you become an abomination and you go insane and you're super dangerous.
You become a monster.
Yeah. And like, you see this happen. You do see abominations who become monsters and they're like super powerful and they have magic and they're horrifying. But what they slowly, I don't think they explore it very much, honestly.
They don't explore it as much as they should.
They explore it in the book. I know for a fact, and actually a previous character was also Wynn. She talks about it at the end of Origins.
Oh yeah, Wynn was possessed.
Wynn was possessed by a spirit who saved her life.
And was keeping her alive.
Like, Wynn was living on borrowed time. And so in the books, she dies because the spirit leaves, I think, at some point. Or, like, the spirit is just exhausted and can't keep her alive anymore. Yeah. But, like, so Wynn's another example of a character who was possessed by a spirit, by a benevolent spirit, who didn't really want to interact. The spirit just wanted her to keep living, to keep doing what she was doing because she was a good person.
Yeah.
In Anders' case, in the DLC of Dragon Age Origins, there is a spirit who is possessing the body of a dead warden, and he's one of your companions during the course.
So,
Or no, am I mistaken?
Oh, no, it's not that. It's, we're at, like, a point where we should take a break, but what I would like to do is continue this in another episode and make this a more finalized sketch and a more finalized conversation.
It's because you love your boy so
I love
much.
him so much.
Okay.
So, thank you for tuning in.
Well, hang on, no. Reset. What have we drawn so far so that people know what you've done?
Oh, I've drawn Anders, because he's my favorite, and I would love to believe that he is alive and well in Inquisition.
So I was gonna say, like, we're placing this kind of in the Inquisition timeline.
Yeah, where he gets to go and continue being a good man.
Trying to help.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess we will cut here so that we can take a quick break.
We'll take a quick break.
Thanks for making it this far. And I guess I'll just quickly plug our stuff real fast. If you want to see Sydney's art, she is on Twitter and Instagram at CCLunaArt. You can also support us on Ko-fi and Patreon at CCLuna. And we will see you in the next episode.